Welcome to another day in the simulation. I'm Eric, I'll be your host. As you can see in front of us, we have the front and rear master cylinder, as well as the rebuild kits for both of them. In spite of what I said previously about that master cylinder being a little more cracked than I'd like it to be, I looked at it pretty closely and I really think that this rubber boot, well, a new version of this rubber boot is going to do a pretty good job of making sure no fluid comes out, making sure it's just as protected as it needs to be. And if I'm not mistaken, there should be a seal system right here on this side, which is deeper than the crack, that should protect any fluid from coming out to begin with. I think really this rubber boot is just to protect the actual metal pieces right inside from getting dust in them. So without further ado, the toolbox is open. Let's get to work. Okay, so the very first step is I'm just draining out the last of the brake fluid that was sitting in there. Most all gone, it's going to come out still really dirty inside, so I'm going to take a paper towel, get rid of as much as I possibly can. Then I'm going to take a few Q-tips. I don't want to add water to it because water does not mix well with brake fluid. So I'm just going to have to try and dry it out as much as possible. If I can, I'll try and get some compressed air to get in that tiny little hole so it'll hopefully shoot out the rest of the stuff that's in here. Then I'm going to take off this bolt and I'm going to just start prying in at it and try and get every little bit of junk. It's not going to show up very well in here, but you got to trust me when I say there's a lot of junk that's in there. Because if it's disgusting up here, it's equally, if not more, disgusting down here. So lots of Q-tips going to be needed. Then I'm going to take the parts that I got from the Honda OEM replacement kit. This was not specifically designed to refit a CBR250R. And that's just because I got it from Revzilla, and Revzilla doesn't have a Japanese bike in their, a bike that was never sold in America in their inventory. So I'm kind of going with what the internet told me will fit. If it does end up working out, I'll leave a link to this exact part on the Revzilla catalog in the description. If it does not, I will talk about that in the video and what didn't work and see if I can find a different one that claims it'll fit. Okay, so I got it all put together just like the manual said to do. You got this piece, rubber piece, spring, it all fits together, it all looks good, except for one problem. This is the one I pulled out of it. This is the one that I ordered on Revzilla. And unlike what internet research suggested, these two pieces are not swappable. Much longer, wider, different piece. It's not going to work. So, I cleaned up this guy, tested out, trying to put it back in there. Of course, I also tried to cram that in there. It's just, the hole is just too small in this little bike for it to fit. So I'm fairly confident. I put this back in. It springs like it should. I believe that I can probably get away with just putting it in, maybe cleaning it up, definitely add some brake fluid in to help prevent friction. And it should be about as good as I can get it. If I can find a better source for the part, then I'll happily get a new one of these altogether. I just feel much better having a new piece. But as of now, I think it might be in my best interest to just get it cleaned up, lubricated, and it's too late to return this guy. So for future reference, before you start taking stuff apart, it wasn't a very clear bag, but I'm sure I could have translucently seen the size of this versus the size of this guy and figured out before opening it and before voiding the return policy that it wasn't going to work. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where you're not sure of the fitment because you have some obscure old bike, don't open the packaging until you can at least get the two lined up right next to each other and just confirm it's not going to be a good fit. So that way you can hopefully return $40 worth of OEM parts. So now I have it fully disassembled. I might clean it up, might replace this centerpiece right here because I have a kit for it. I just wanted to show you all the order of events and how it all goes back together once you get it disassembled. You got your first nut, you got your second nut, there's a metal piece that's on the bike or on the rear set that'll go right here. They're going to lock together to help keep it all in place. You've got this very strange piece, I've never seen anything like it. You've got this kind of O-ring that has two little holes. I got this from Ace Hardware. It kind of curves in so it'll go right inside. Squeeze them together. That's how you get that piece off. You've got another O-ring right here. Metal hard part goes on. Metal hard part pushes into it. This is what I pulled out. The spring looks pretty good. It's kind of crusty right there. I want to talk about this real quick before I forget. It's called the snap ring pliers. There's multiple different pieces. Looks like the Ace generic version for what's functionally supposed to get the job done anyways. I prefer the type though that kind of digs into it. Since we're working with a pretty small surface, I want to actually get inside. You could use the flat ones also, just personal preference. It comes with all of them. Now, if we look at what I pulled out of the bike versus what I ordered on Revzilla, and mind you, this, I did it through Revzilla's OEM ordering. They do not have a 1988 Honda CBR250R. They actually do not have anything at this point in time older than 1990. So this was not specifically stated to fit the bike, just like that was not specifically stated to fit this bike. But internet research told me this will work, and it looks like, size for size, piece for piece, it's identical. Not sure how well it's going to come out in video, but I fully intend on opening that up and just straight up replacing it. I'm not sure if it needed to be replaced, but since I already have it ordered, and since this one's 30 years old and that one is less than 30 years old, might as well use the newer one. So in this case, this Honda part number, I'll leave a link in the description. It will fit a 1988/1989 Honda CBR250R MC19. Here it is, the finished product. New boot and everything. Nice new fresh rubber. This wasn't too bad, but I still don't regret just getting a new set and getting it in there. Pushes together like it should. You can't feel it, but if you put your hand right here and push down this, you'd feel that it's all free flowing. So when I get some brake fluid in here, it's gonna work like a master cylinder should. In spite of the crack, honestly, I'm really impressed with how perfectly it managed to U-turn that crack, so it's not going even past this rubber seal. And again, there is this weird O-ring type thing, as well as what you saw earlier, that metal washer. Maybe it's not a washer, it's like a washer. That's what's really preventing the fluid from escaping. You can't see it because of the rubber boot, but all this boot is just for dust protection. It's in there really good, no fluid's going to get through it. If I didn't put the boot on, maybe, just maybe, when it pushes down, it'll get some dust in there, and then dust will get into the fluid system. So the boot's not actually going to secure the fluid to keep it out. Nonetheless, it didn't go so low that I have to worry about even dust getting in there. This is still a fully functional, perfectly fine unit, and it saved me about $140 plus. I think I've seen some of these go for $240. So the savings here is going to get redirected towards getting a new front master cylinder, because this is just not the right fitment. And although I did get something in there, and it does work, it is missing a little rubber piece. So I'd rather not go without that. I'd rather have, and this boot is from the aftermarket set, so this isn't even really fitting correctly. So I'm going to try and find a whole new master cylinder and leave a link in the description. I won't make a video installing that because you kind of get the idea from what I did here, as well as from this guy. But I think that'll probably do it for this video. I'm glad I got these cleaned out. I'm glad I'm able to reuse a lot more than I thought of these. And I'll catch you in the next one.